if I analyze Noel Hart, I would go for hours. Okay, so I'll try to cut it short and kind of specifically we've worked together for, I think, 10 years now, or 13, 14, 15 years. I can't remember. A long time we've been showing your work here in the gallery. So generally we can say they're like, I would say 3 categories. And I'm not talking about size. So we're going to have one thing that I find intriguing. You had in a lot of the earlier pieces, the matted surface, which I really liked. You didn't, when light came through, white transparent pieces, it was one thing. And then you had the totally unmatted surface, glossy surface with a lot of complexity because you see both sides coming through. We'll show nice little photos of that. And then the third category, which I find very interesting, is the amount of complexity you put in the pieces. So some pieces are very dense with a lot of different parts inside, okay? So that adds to the complexity. And then, so to speak, there are other pieces that are a little bit more reduced. And I find it interesting, some people are more attracted to one or to the other, and possibly fits to the character of the client. Maybe I would even put in a fourth category. Some pieces are more opaque and the other ones are more transparent. The one I have over there is very opaque, which is nice when you have a lot of light coming from the front. You mentioned the primitivity. I call it more an archaic way of working with the glass because you're just, it's actually quite complex because you're using different colors and different techniques. You're squeezing them on top. A lot of people ask me, how many of the pieces actually survive the process of making the glass piece the way you want it?
Well, it used to be a terrible proportion of works that would survive. We might get 1 in 3, 1 in 4 pieces that would work. Oh, wow.
Out. Okay.
The technique that I use challenges the chemistry of glass. So as you can see, these pieces have lots of different colors in them. And the colors in blown glass particularly expand and contract at different rates as you're heating them up. Some pieces take up heat fairly quickly. Some pieces are much slower to take up heat. So we have to cool down some parts of the piece and heat up other parts to try and even them out. But as the duration of assembling these works can take a couple of hours, some of the fluxes that are actually in the chemistry of the glass burn off. So it becomes an issue of compatibility between the colours. And I've figured out over a long time which pieces and which colours are going to be more negatively affected by the alteration of the chemistry. Okay. However, what I can't keep up with are the manufacturers of these colours changing the chemistry on me. So whilst I think I've got everything under control, I don't. And that was initially what moved the whole process for me into using the shinier surface. Because ultimately, the colours became chemically so incompatible that I just couldn't keep doing it like that anymore. So it sort of starts to play with your head, and it plays with the guys who work with these heads too. When we make, over the course of a week, we might make 10 or 12 pieces, but only like 3 of them will survive.
That's
it starts
terrible.
To do your head. It does your head in.
Oh, it's terrible, especially all that work going in, and the satisfaction of completing a piece, and then it doesn't turn, it breaks. It's frustrating. So what color combinations are? I heard you once talking about the reds and the yellows don't mix so well.
Yeah. The reds and yellows are much more chemically unstable, particularly the opaque reds and yellows.
Right.
And when you put say an opaque red or yellow or an orange, butted up next to something that's a much softer color, like a black or a transparent blue, the contrast between that and this become quite challenging. So we try and harden this color up and soften this one up to make it a bit easier. But ultimately, we kind of lost the capacity to do that. So what I found was that if I put clear glass over the whole thing, once we put it together, it took a lot of those tensions out. And so since we've been working with that glossy surface, we have very few things go wrong.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so you added another layer of transparent glossy glass on top of all the techniques that are already on top of transparent glass. You're, so to speak.
Yeah. It takes a lot of the tension out of it. So because when I started with glass, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just
That's the best way to start, you know.
Yeah,
it's the same
I
thing
just
with
tried
my
to do
interviews.
something.
I don't know what I'm doing, but we're getting there.
I don't know what I'm doing, and I haven't been trained in glass. So I was doing something, as you know, that came from a perspective as a painter. So I know what I can do with paint. And when things weren't quite working out with glass, I just go, oh, I'll try something else. And just keep going, keep going, keep going. But the luxury of doing that diminishes over time. And as I said, it starts to play with your head when things are going chemically wrong. So it turns out that what I was trying to do, according to other people that I've gotten to know over time who work in blown glass, what I was trying to do wasn't really such a great idea. It wasn't really something that people who knew what they were doing would do. Because too many things could go wrong. But I was so bullheaded that I tried my hardest to figure out how to make things work. So those pieces you've got there are miracles of birth, really, you know, that they've actually made their way through the whole process. And I was able to make those adjustments to enable those pieces to survive. But it's a miracle. Those pieces are miracles.
Okay, everybody watching this, you can have a miracle at home. These are miracle pieces. Beyond their beauty and beyond what they show and the colors and everything, they're a miracle through the, like as you say, through the process of birth, which I really like. Every piece is a difficult process. How many pieces do you make a year? There's a lot of people ask me that.
Yeah, we don't make a lot. Where I live has a tropical climate, so and the studio that my team work out of is also in the tropics. So there is a big segment of the year where it's actually dangerous to work in front of furnaces. We have a very high humidity, and the humidity means that the air around us is very moist. It doesn't have as much oxygen in it as one would prefer for breathing. So, and then when you work with furnaces, the furnaces are actually eating the oxygen as well. So there have been occasions when we've been working when members of the team have ended up in hospital due to a lack of oxygen. So, and I've found myself on the ground on occasions where just not being able to breathe. So we're very cautious about when we work, and we try to do it in the coolest parts of the year. So that restricts the number of pieces that we're going to make, because we're not going to work all year. There's a window of opportunity that's about 4 or 5 months long. And in that time, which is basically coming up soon in winter and into early spring, we'll get together on occasions, and we can, on some good days, we might make 3 pieces in a day.
Oh my God.
Some days we'll only get 2 pieces done, because these pieces are very intense.
Yeah.
And in addition to how long it takes to make them, it actually takes them a very long time to cool down. We do what's in glass blowing considered a very long annealing cycle. We'll anneal these pieces for 3 days.
Oh,
just to
wow.
cool them down because of those inherent tensions that are in the pieces. So to enable them to survive, we extend the whole process out over a number of days. So we don't make a whole lot of pieces in a year, Andre. And it's when I feel like that I've got something new that I want to do as well. So
Okay.
we might make 10 or 12 pieces in a year.
Wow. So having a Noel Hart piece is actually a rare thing. There are not many pieces that go around. I think they're wonderful.